Welcome back to Veterans Forum, a program by veterans, about veterans, for veterans and their families. I'm your co-host, Bob West, with Ray Chattery and Jerry Devlin. Our goal is to provide important information to you and your family on legislation, benefits, support, and activities by interviewing leaders in our community. Jerry, who do we have today?
Before I introduce our very distinguished guest this evening, I'd like to remind our viewers that this show is being taped on the evening of June 22nd, and only a few hours ago, Marylanders across this great state were shocked by the news that our Governor Larry Hogan is suffering a very serious cancer attack, which is very, very threatening to his well-being. And I know I speak for all the veterans community and all Marylanders, Democrats, Republicans, and Independents alike, to wish him a very speedy recovery. And our thoughts and prayers are with him and his family at this very, very difficult time. And tonight we're really honored to have with us as a guest one of the better appointments that a couple of governors have made. George Owings is the Secretary of Veterans Affairs. He served for 4 years in that office under Governor Ehrlich, and then a year under Governor O'Malley, and then was recently appointed by Larry Hogan. George is a 17-year veteran of the Maryland House of Delegates, the last 10 of which he was Democratic whip, but 2 governors cared more about veterans than they cared about partisanship. So this very important office is filled by a Democrat, but he is dedicated absolutely to making it a totally non-political, apolitical office. Secretary Owens' only concern is veterans, and that's his only concern. And again, he's a former member of the House of Delegates. He even lives in a town that he named after himself, Owings, Maryland. And we're really proud tonight to have George Owings III, a Marine veteran of the Vietnam War and a very distinguished public official. So I'm happy to welcome George Owings III to our show.
Welcome, Secretary Owens.
Thank you very much.
Welcome to Bowie.
It's good to be here. Judge, thank you very much for that very kind introduction. It is good to be with you on, as the judge has said, a very, very sad moment for all of us associated with the Hogan campaign, the Hogan transition, the Hogan election, and Larry Hogan is a man, as a matter of fact. We were stunned today, as was everyone else, when the news came out. But he is a fighter, and a lot of prayers and a lot of stick-to-itiveness that he has, he's going to come through this. So we're here tonight to talk about the veterans events, I guess, and things of that nature.
Well, we could always start off, although the program probably won't air for a couple of weeks, but it'll be some of the things that you probably have in mind for the next year or so. This coming Saturday, there's going to be a veterans get-together at the Memorial Building up in Baltimore.
Yes.
And there's going to be state VA folks there to assist veterans with questions and family members and so forth of those veterans with some needs.
Yes.
So maybe you could tell us a little bit about that program. And
when Commissioner Stone came to us and asked about the availability of the War Memorial Building, which is co-owned with the city and the state, we made the arrangements for her to occupy the building itself. It's a health-related oriented event this coming Saturday. And it's going to be in 2 phases, and we fully expect to have a good crowd there, or at least we're looking for a good crowd to show up. So leaning inward, I think she's done a good job. We have assisted, the department have assisted as best we could with lining up some other organizations to assist her in what she's doing.
I met Rebecca Stone. She's a member of the VFW.
Yes.
And she's on one of the councils for...
One of the commissions.
One of the commissions.
Yes, she's on the Monuments Memorial Commission.
And when you meet her, you can tell that she's full of fire.
Yes, she is.
She's a Native American, as she continuously tells us all the time, and she's rip-roaring and ready to go. So, yeah, she was something when we met her.
And she's doing it for the right reasons.
Absolutely.
She's genuine in her pursuit.
Now, that's one of the outreach programs, and one of the issues that we all have, especially in the service organizations, is outreach to veterans, trying to get them involved, let them know about the benefits and services that are available. What is going on with the Maryland VA as far as outreach and contacting veterans?
Well, as Ray knows, I think the judge may know, we have a very aggressive outreach and advocacy program. That was something that actually was constructed during my last tour of duty. That was something that I thought was necessary. When I came in the first time around, there was a stark realization that we have all these veterans, but how do we get to them? So we began what is now the Outreach and Advocacy Program. Had one individual running it. When I got back this time, I was pleased to see that we have two, and they are a lot like Rebecca Stone, just ready to roll. One is Denise Noe, who has 30 years experience working for Senator Mikulski in the outreach and advocacy area. She was her Southern Maryland advocate down there. The other is a young lady, the spouse of a combat veteran, Dana Hendrickson. And Dana comes to us from the Maryland Commitment to Veterans. Before that, she had some training in the correctional field. But she is the director, and she runs a good show, a good shop, and both of them together work wonders as far as outreach goes, staffing tables, holding events. This year is the second year that they've put together what we call Hire Maryland, Operation Hire. And what it is going to the different businesses in all of the counties and asking for commitments of sort, not guaranteed, not in blood, but commitments that simply say, will you try to hire X number of veterans and give us a number? Last year, they were successful with only 108 businesses at the close of the 100 days of finding 360 jobs. Those are real jobs. These are not paper jobs, but they're actual jobs. This year, we're looking to do even better. That kickoff is just around the corner. It will begin in July 1st to kick off. But this time, it is non-lapsing, which means this is going to go on ad infinitum. We will not end it in a 100-day series of meetings and outreaches and things of that nature.
Yeah, that's the idea. Is we have to have various different types of functions to get veterans interested.
Yes.
As they come along to find out really what's available to them, especially women veterans.
Yes.
Because that's always been our portion, trying to help women's veterans. Do you have anything special associated for women's veterans?
Well, interestingly enough, out of Prince George's County, Dr. Joanne Fisher, formerly the department commander for the DAV, is putting together in November, and this is very interesting because I brought Dr. Fisher to the Women's Caucus this year in Annapolis, well received, and she laid out her program. And her program simply is Women Veterans Invisible No More. And that originated here in Prince George's County. And we're looking to have as equal a number of participants as we hope to have for Commissioner Stone in November for Dr. Fisher's event. So yes, we are working towards that goal as well.
Now, Ray's really involved with Charlotte Hall, and we're getting near, what, 90%, Ray? Is it?
Almost 92% now.
Yeah.
And so there might be some thoughts on a second Charlotte Hall or something of that nature.
Right. Now, is Fort Howard in or out?
Out.
Out.
And your viewers are going to think that this is all prearranged
Yeah.
because you've just led me into where are we going from here. And where we're going is Rosewood. And Rosewood, interestingly enough, has already seen one meeting up there with Department of General Services, Department of Veterans Affairs, the Department of Health and Mental Hygiene, who still have an ongoing number, and I hesitate to tell you, but it's $1 million a year to keep that operation going. Rosewood, of course, is the old mental hospital in Baltimore County. And the sweetness of this transaction, if we can put it together, and I believe we will, is that across Garrison Boulevard is the Garrison Forest Cemetery. And so if this comes to fruition, we will add acreage for the expansion of the cemetery and have enough land for Charlotte Hall Veterans Home's second home. So it won't be Charlotte Hall Veteran Home, it'll be something other than that, but it will be another veterans home.
Are they going to have to jump through the same hoops? And I was very instrumental with getting phase four done,
Yes, I know you were.
Where you have to get the design money, and then the next year you have to get the construction money approved and all that.
Yes and no. And when I say yes and no, when we finally pulled the plug on Fort Howard, all that was in place, fortunately, according to the VA, of what I've been told, is still in place.
Okay.
So we're not going to lose, we don't go back to square one
Okay.
when we begin this next process.
Oh, that's good.
So that was exciting news. I
Right.
didn't know you were going to throw me that one, but that's one of the points I was going to bring up, that it's a twofold idea that we have up there in Baltimore County, the veteran home and the expansion of the cemetery. Because Ray, you well remember the last time around, one of my major focus points was to ensure that we have at least 75 to 100 years of land in all 5 of our cemeteries going forward.
That's a lot.
a lot, yeah.
Jerry, you've been involved with the Veterans Court, and I'm sure that all ties in with the VA, Maryland's VA too. So
That's about to get Judge Tillison Adams as the administrative judge in the circuit court, and she's going to start a demonstration project in Prince George's County. It appears, and I don't know whether Judge Nichols is going to be the administrative. He's going to be the administrative judge's choice to head that, but he's a retired commander in the Navy as well as a circuit court judge. So he's a retired captain. I'm taking away his rank. And we're going to probably try to have him on the show very soon, and he can go in some great detail of that. But everybody around the country, the idea of Veterans Court is an idea whose time has come. A few years ago, they started one in Erie County, which is New York, which is Buffalo, and it's been picked up everywhere. Now sociologists and psychologists and experts know that the combat veterans from the Middle East, they have special problems due to their service. In fact, they always had them, but we didn't know about it till now, you know. In fact, my own father, I'm pretty sure, had post-traumatic stress from the trenches of World War I that he used to have attacks, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a lot of Vietnam veterans were also like that, and with the especially the ones that were involved in that from the 67 to 69 time frame when they had the roughest part of the war with the Tet Offensive and everything, and then with all the booby traps and the Ho Chi Minh Trail, and I mean it was just terrible.
Previously in war, the bad guys are over there and the good guys are behind me. That's very reassuring, you know. But you get into Vietnam, you couldn't tell the good guys
From the bad guys.
and weapons being carried by children and women and old ladies with IEDs. You know, it's the kind of thing would drive you crazy if you weren't even being shot at regularly. And we just don't appreciate these men and women who are fighting in the Middle East under the worst possible conditions.
Especially the multiple deployments. In Vietnam, if you went 2 times, that was a lot. So of course, some fields they went a little more, but some of these guys are 4, 5, 6 deploymments over
10,
there.
12.
Some of them even 12, right? It's just
And largely reservists. When I was in the Marine Reserve, you know, we weren't called to act. I did get called to active duty in Korea, but in Vietnam, they basically, other than a few individuals, they never activated units. Whereas in Korea, the Commandant of the Marine Corps activated 100% of the Marine Reserve and sent guys, Cho Sin, who had learned to fire a rifle off a fantail of a ship going across the Pacific.
right.
You know, people who joined on Tuesday and next week they were on their way to Vietnam. They're on their way to Korea.
As far as the programs are concerned, it seems like there's a list of things that are kind of rolling around, at least for the next few months anyhow, and you mentioned a few. Are there any in particular for Prince George's County that you might come to mind, since we have a large contingent?
Well, you have the largest numerical standing as far as veterans go. You're followed by Anne Arundel County and then Montgomery County. That is the core of the highest number veterans in the state. But Prince George's has always had the highest number of veterans here. When you ask that kind of question, no, the department is not looking to do anything special for Prince George's County any more than Wycomico or Garrett or any other county in the state. The focus is on veteran. Now, the needs are the same. It's just a matter of trying to get the services, the personnel, and all that is due the veteran to that veteran.
And in fact, a lot of counties are doing things like Rashawn Baker's been talking with Henry Turner, who was for a while, a couple of years, the chairman of the Prince George's Veterans Commission, about setting up an Office of Veterans Affairs in Prince George's County. So there'll be some, there's a great deal of interest in that. To those of us who remember veterans didn't matter very much, now they've become pretty important. They always, Rudyard Kipling wrote a poem one time about the value of soldiers is different in peacetime. And they call Britain, the word for GIs in Britain, Tommy. The enlistment application used to be Thomas Atkins. It's Tommy this and Tommy that. Chuck him out, the brute. But it's savior of his country when the guns begin to shoot. And so I think that, and again, with our department, we've had so much more recognition in veterans causes, largely due to this fellow here sitting next to me.
Thank you, Jerry. Let me say this, though. What Jerry's talking about is very real. In Carroll County, they actually went out and hired their own service officers. We trained them in Baltimore, and we run the paperwork. But they are certified, trained service officers that a county is saying, look, we want to help where we can. And so there's always a need for more. There are more outreach organizations, everything, and starting at the top, Wounded Warriors. And from there, it's just a rainbow of colors under that can do any and everything for the veteran if you can get the veterans to them. There are aquatic resources. There are horses. There are dogs. There are just so many things that people have set up on their own to reach out to help the veterans today. There are employment opportunities. There are just so much out there that you can't keep track of all of it easily, but it's there, and we hope to assist in getting that. Let me touch back, if we have time, on the courts. Prince George's is to be credited with that outreach. If we can get to the veterans early enough, they're not going to end up where they are today. In fact, there's a good chance that whatever they've done, depending on the charge, and we're hoping that it's in a lower court setting, that it can be erased and they can start anew with a new life and a new lease on life. We all have our problems. We all get in trouble, as you grow. But to come back, as Ray said, after 4, 5, 6, 7 deployments, to find out that you don't have the job you had when you left, or to find out there's been something wrong with the family unit now, that it's not constructed the way it was, and it happens, you're not in your right mind, and things can go south on you. And so if we can get to these people beforehand, when they are coming out of the system, and the judge can work with them. Judge Nichols and I spoke today, as a matter of fact, and I'm going to be running on the website an outreach for mentors for this very thing that we're talking about today. So he's very much involved in it. But if we can get to them early enough, we can actually save them. They're not going to get in the cycle.
And I notice there's more outreach also looking for those homeless veterans too. Police are involved, the courts are involved.
Yes.
Mental health facilities are involved, finding these and trying to assist the veterans. We have McVet up in Baltimore. It's been around for a long time.
Yeah,
and,
almost 20 years now.
And helping veterans get back on their feet.
89.
Yeah.
Colonel Williams came in 89 and opened it up, and I was with Jeff not long ago. I sponsored Dana Hendrickson, who I referred to earlier. She ran the 10K this year. I was one of the judges to award the medals this year.
I thought you were one of the runners,
No, no. But I did sponsor her and give the medals out at the end.
George. You and I and this group, we could have a race
Yeah.
and we'd measure it in days rather than...
That's exactly right. So you've got so many different groups in Baltimore, but there's some other good news up at Perry Point. Secretary Holt at Community Housing and Community Development has evidently gotten the go-ahead. They're going to reconstruct or rehab those 64 houses up there, and they're going to be used for homeless veterans.
You know, and that's it's not only the homeless veterans too, and it's sometimes not only is the veteran homeless, but his family is homeless.
Of course.
And so now you have a larger unit that needs the support and care that they deserve. And Maryland is second to none in their support of veterans with Charlotte Hall and a lot of the services that are provided to veterans. We hear that all the time from national headquarters of the service organizations that, you know, Maryland is always near the top.
Right. Well, when I was on the commission, Sharon would always say, well, we have another state coming in because we're the premier veterans home in the country. Everybody wants to come and see how we're doing in order to structure theirs like ours.
And we have the best cemetery program.
Yes,
Right.
we do. She just hosted the regional conference. They came from New York, Pennsylvania, New Hampshire, Connecticut, Ohio, and she put on quite an operational show for them. But it wasn't a show, it's what she does every day. So we're very proud of Charlotte Hall Veterans Home. We really are. Well, you, sir, you were there for so many years. So
We try to get some of the, there's a couple of national commanders that have not been to Charlotte Hall. And I told them, I said, well, let's get a hold of Secretary Owens and get a hold of, because it would be nice if you went along with the national commander, AMVETS and the Purple Heart, or two of them, and sometime ago, maybe we can get them both together and just make it a day and go down, have lunch, talk to the veterans and show them what a really neat place Charlotte Hall really is.
Because the Purple Hearts, actually, we put the monument there.
Right.
I was in when that came aboard, so you know, they should bring the national commander down there whenever he's in town.
The Purple Heart's been one of the largest contributors to Charlotte Hall.
And you were at most of the conventions down in Ocean City this
All
year?
so far. Haven't missed a one.
Okay. And
One to go.
One to go. So you met the new incoming department commanders and
presented the outgoing commanders with their governor's citations and appreciation for all they did this past year.
So now we know the new incoming commanders, and they're going to have to step up the fight here in their support to veterans.
And then, George, you met the incoming national commander for the DAV.
Yes, did.
Which was really great.
That was good.
And it's really amazing. In the last several years, the senior vice commander of the Disabled American Veterans has been our national rep, which is a very big feather in Maryland's cap.
Yes, it is. Tremendous.
Is there anything you want to tell our viewers that would help facilitate what you're doing in support of veterans, to get the word out to veterans?
Yes, and again, you're going to think this is a softball, but last year I was in Bowie, and I got a call, and I was invited to attend the Arts and Crafts show that's held up here nearby. You're familiar with what I'm talking about, right? And it's veterans that actually work their own art or work their own leather or make whatever they make. Some are comedians. That's where I met Ms. Dixon, 104 years old. She performed at the center. There's an art center here. I'm sure you know where I'm talking about, Jerry. Sure. So I said, as I was introduced by Wayne Miller, who is the team leader for one of the vet centers in the state. He's out of Silver Spring, but he was the MC. And I said, you know, it's a shame that this place isn't full. The talent that's here, all these veterans have put all this effort forward, and there's hardly anybody in their seats. So I said, I'm going to do an outreach for you all this year to see if we can't fill this hall. So yes, I'll take this opportunity to invite everybody to come, if they want to help a veteran or veterans, to come to that show this coming year.
Well, there's something that we all have to put on our calendar and make sure we go to.
You do,
Right.
and bring somebody with you.
And that's even more important.
We participated in Bowie Fest this year.
Well, and that's always important.
Right.
Basically, you have to get out and let people know that you exist.
Yes.
You have to keep showing the flag over and over again.
But this was right here in the middle of
town.
Bowie.
Yes.
Right.
And it's attached to a school, I think. And it's the arts corner building on
The guy who
Yeah,
runs
that
it is a member of
Performing
our...
Arts Center down at
That's
at
it.
Bowie High School.
That's
Right.
it.
The
at
guy
Bowie
who
High
runs it
School.
is a past commandant of the Free State Detachment.
Right, Dr. Jerry George.
Okay.
He's the executive director there.
Well, I promise that we get that thing filled this
Right.
next time around. So
Right.
all of us are going to have to work on doing just that.
Right.
Well, we'll have to get Jerry to let us know, and
Get right.
since he's a member of the DAV, get the information out on
Right.
on our newsletter.
And
The
he-
service officer.
And he's our
Yes.
lead service officer. He meets veterans every Tuesday at the DAV from 7 to 9 to do their claims and get them started or help
Let's
them
do
out.
whatever we can to
Really
help
great.
him and
Right.
everyone else associated with that operation. It was very impressive, some of the things that I saw.
He's speaking about Dr. Fisher. Well, my first official act when I was department commander for DAV in '95, we appointed her as the first chairman of the Women Veterans Committee in DAV. So that
Well, then
was
you
the
know
first
her,
step.
so
Oh
you-
yes,
yes, certainly.
Known her
yeah,
forever.
yeah. We
Yeah, she was commander actually of D.C.
Yeah, DC, yes.
right.
He was,
She's the
yes.
department commander for DC. Yeah.
Kind of hard to believe, but our 30 minutes is up, and I want to thank Secretary Owens for being our guest today, and I want to thank all of you for watching Veterans Forum. We want to thank Tom Allen as our director and cameraman, and now we ask you to get involved with your local veterans by stopping by the American Legion or the DAV. If you're a family member or a veteran, we ask you to stop by. There's a lot of information out there on benefits, legislation, and programs helpful to you and your family. And also, we sent out our special support for Governor Hogan and his family, and hopefully he'll have a speedy recovery. And we look forward to seeing you at one of our service organizations very soon. Thank you for watching Veterans Forum.